ourselves. See, we're so caught up in self that we miss the big picture. And I've said this to some of my buddies on other coaches, and other coaches have said it to me. But because of the marketing issue, it's not happening. Now, Duke has what? 5 of the maybe 3 of the 5 of the to the top 100. Okay.
Yep.
There's something Duke offered them monetarily. They ain't gonna say it, but we all know that's the only reason they get them. Somebody's paying them. But let's not use Chicago State for instance. Let's say Duke. Let's say Florida State. Duke, Florida State, and let's say Texas. Are you telling me that Florida State, with that football program over the years, and Texas, with the history of the University of Texas, they don't have money?
Too much of it.
They got a whole lot of it. So, the difference in those schools is that the endowments and the money that they have is not the same as a Jackson State, a Howard, a HBCU, or Chicago State. So if I'm looking at the big picture and I'm trying to see why these institutions are different, I look at the endowments and the graduates and what they get. So now, in order for me to try to change this whole thing and make Chicago State competitive, me as being one of the top 25 players or top 100 players in the country, say to myself, hey, homie, we go to a McDonald's All-American game, and we say, hey, man, listen to this. I'm going to Jackson State. Won't you come with me? Won't you come with me? Won't you come with me? See, there's a reason why when they just included those SWAC schools, that they play in the first round the top school in the country to get rid of them because of the stipend or the every round that you go up in the NCAA tournament, that's more money for your program and your conference. So if I go to a HBCU and say 5 of them top McDonald players go down there and they play Duke the first round and they defeat them, then the next round the money goes up. So now I can build a science wing, or I can build a weight facility or a building that will attract, or better athletic facility that will attract more people or more kids. Or I can improve my facilities with $10 million versus me getting $250,000 and have to split that with the conference I'm in, which is what happens. So we as a group of players should say, I'm not going to worry. If I'm an NBA player, I'm gonna make NBA regardless.
Right.
I'm gonna be an NBA. I have the talent regardless. But what we have to start understanding and seeing the big picture is I have to make a difference for the kids who aren't playing basketball, to make a difference for the kid that might want to play something else other than basketball, and he has to have those facilities, or if he wants to become a doctor or a lawyer or a physicist, because I guarantee you, Duke University doesn't go to Simeon to give scholarships for band, for chemistry. They don't go to those schools for those. They go to those McDonald Americans for one reason and one reason only: basketball, to enhance their programs, to continue the money flow. So I might be getting off keel here a little bit, but this is something that has bothered me for the longest.
Come on, keep going, bro, because I'm a firm believer in what you're saying. So, but there's
that street agent or that person, that coach, he can't. Jackson State don't have the money to give him. They don't have the money to give him. So I'm going to have to sacrifice to make Jackson State and Florida A&M and those schools, those programs, powerhouses. You have black coaches in the Division I top schools. So, let's say I don't go to an HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
But why not go to Florida State or go down there to Shaka Smart and put them on the map?
Right. No, I knew where you were going.
Why not do that?
Or see, my thing is this. I mean, and you can speak to this better than me because you are a coach. I always wondered, why is it that, like, I look at the NBA and just about every relevant team in the NBA got a kid from Chicago on it. Miami, the Clippers, Houston. It's somebody from Chicago or Illinois from just about every team in the NBA that's relevant. What happened between, like, coaches like you? You went to an HBCU, and I know there's a couple other coaches. I think the coach at Collins went to an HBCU. Now, it'll be difficult to get the McDonald's All-American to go down to Jackson State. But what about the dude who playing next to the McDonald's All-American? Yeah, of course, he's not a 5-star player, but he's like a 3.5-star player. Why don't we start funneling those guys to Darryl Walker? Because Darryl Walker is a Chicago dude. He down there at Clark Atlanta University. Why don't we start funneling dudes to him?
I just told you, because he can't line my pocket, and that's what this is all about. My pocket being lined.
Okay. That's so you're saying even the coaches? Okay.
This is all about my pocket being lined. What can you do for me? You know what's funny, man? I was sitting up watching Kansas. I don't know who else they were playing at home with my mother one day, and we were watching the game together. And they spanned and they commercial or timeout, and they didn't leave the arena. They spanned the crowd. The camera spanned the crowd. My mother's 90. This was actually, she was 89 then. She's 90 now. This was last year.
Uh-huh.
My mother sat there and watched that game with me and said, when they spanned that crowd, while they were spanning the crowd, she said, wow, there aren't no black kids going to that school. But when we went back to the game,
right,
she then said, well, yeah, they do. They playing ball, though.
Exactly.
So you have fanning crowd. She didn't see a black face. But yet on the floor, for the entertainment aspects of this, it's all us again.
Right.
So we have to understand, man, we have to do for self again. I told you at the start of this, integration has messed this up. It has opened a lot of
Expound on that, man. Please expound on that.
Because we used to have, a village used to raise itself. We saw that when I used to go around the corner to the store, the guy that owned the store looked like me. In my neighborhood, you had some clothing stores and whatnot that there were Caucasians, and most of them were Jewish back then. But you had viable black businesses in our community. Now, if I go to the store, I don't see anybody work. I see people working in the store, but the ownership is not. They don't look like me.
Okay.
So if we don't start to understand that we need to get back to taking care of ourselves, because you must remember the reason that there wasn't, or the reason you had a lot of football players and a lot of basketball players coming out of historically black colleges is because they couldn't get into white universities and white institutions.
Right.
So and if you look back, most of your professionals came out of HBCUs and Northeast colleges and universities.
Mm-hmm.
And we did well. We excelled.
Mm-hmm.
And your attitude was, anything you do, you're going to do it to the best of your ability, because you understood that you're riding on the backs of people who could not. But because of complacency and because we have lost sight of our past, if you continue, and every generation we go, we're further and further and further away from that initial slave ship landing and that heartbeat from Africa saying, you are greater. Like I heard a song the other day and say, what's the color of the universe? So we got to get back to us, man, and taking care of our institutions and sending our kids to people who we know are going to look out for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can guarantee you one thing, if that starts to happen, the rules will start to change. It never fails. But if we make the rules, or hell, if we're in the room where the rules are being made, then we have a say. But as long as we're not in that room and we're missing the point, and it's hard for me to sit here, man, and justify a kid saying, no, man, I can't take that $500,000. No, man, I can't take that $250,000. I can't take that $100,000. No, man, I'm just gonna go down. It's hard for me to justify a kid saying no to that. But that's what's going to have to happen in order for the Darrell Walkers to start getting some of those 100 best players at Clark.
But hold it right there. But can't we? Is there any way possible that we could send the dudes who? Okay, we got the top 100. It's just like anything else. Like they, according to, the averages, you got a better chance of getting a very good player out of Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan, UNC, North Carolina, UCLA. But somehow, some way, we keep getting the Scottie Pippens of the world. We keep getting the Ben Wallaces of the world, the Earl Monroes of the world. They come from HBCU. So that means it was some players a notch below. Can't me, you, and some other coaches here in Chicago, we got, Anthony Davis on this team. And everybody in the world know Anthony Davis is the man because he killed in the McDonald's All-American game. But it was a dude that was on Anthony Davis's team that wasn't as good as Anthony. But if you get him to Darrell Walker can coach him up. Can we start funneling those guys to those schools?
Yeah, we can. But even that kid, that you're talking about a second-tier player. Mm-hmm. A second-tier player can play at a Division I school. A second-tier player can go to the same camp that McDonald's top 100 player went to.
Okay.
And the McDonald's kid will get 20 a game, and the other kid will get 15 a game because of who he is and his work ethic.
Right.
But he can still compete. My point to you is we need